Welcome to AEducate, the podcast from Avernus Education. Join us as we delve into the world of education, leadership and innovation, giving listeners fresh ideas, inspiration and unique insights. Whether you're a student, a parent or an education professional, our podcast offers a valuable opportunity to learn from the best and stay informed about the most pressing issues and debates in the world of education. Connect, tune in, AEducate. Today on the Avernus Education podcast, we're joined by Sir Richard Heygate, founder and chairman at Oriental Ltd Armenia, a new Armenian company aiming to become a major force on centering international education in the country and linking it to both West and East. Sir Richard, many thanks indeed for joining us today for this discussion alongside your business partner, Armen. Really appreciate you coming on and talking to us today. So Richard, I wonder if we can just get a little bit of context about our discussion. You've recently refocused your expertise on international education. Could you tell us a little bit more about how your career has taken you up to this point?
So through a contact we had, we met the centre of the school's programme, which is in Hainan Island, which is this island, where they built a new university and a new school and are now basically collecting international partners. And as Armen and our other partner looked at it, is actually international education is a very big business nowadays. There are billion-dollar companies being set up to manage it. So we thought we could at least make a start with, Armenia, then maybe other Silk Road countries, and Hainan Island. But we also have very good contacts in the UK via my old school, Repton, which has I think about 10 international schools in the Middle East now.
That's right, yeah.
And also through another company which has been very successful in setting up summer schools. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly.
And they're based in Oxford, and they're called Oxford Royal with an E on the end. And I think they run about, courses for like several thousand people in the summer. So that's how we got into education, but it's taken time to set up. We don't think we will actually do our first piece of education until next year. Armen, can you add to that?
Yeah, we're just trying to arrange for Armenian students and also for Chinese students as well to first from Armenian and any other international students from here from Armenia to China. That's the one of the famous school which is located in Hainan Island in China. So there is we have two possibilities within a year. There is one is a summer, and the next one is going to be arranged during the autumn this year. So we'll try to attract so many students from here in Armenia and, for Chinese program.
It's really interesting. I mean, when I saw reading about the new project Oriental Prime, and I suppose typically sometimes you see the big names like Repton associated with other parts of the world, and I think Armenia and then Hainan Island, for some of the listeners or for some people that might follow this podcast or a write-up of it, kind of two interesting countries that some people might not know too much about. What do you see as, I suppose, the real opportunities that they bring in terms of education? I know you've spoken a bit about the Silk Road and that transfer of ideas and trade going back throughout history that I think everyone would be familiar with. Do you see that these, Armenia and Hainan are particularly well placed for a particular reason?
I think in the region, it would be quite interesting for families to try to send their let's say students to international schools like in China, and also we're also considering of Repton as Richard told. So we see that the project Hainan and China and say UK are both our goods project to attract and to bring students from here, not only Armenians, but also international students from here, say Russians, Georgians, and others who right now is resident in Armenia.
No, absolutely. I think there's going to be a very exciting few years ahead. And so, Richard, you mentioned the idea about maybe starting up some projects next year, possibly around that kind of summer school model. Would they be focusing on sort of English tuition or university preparation? What kind of angle do you think those courses would be taking?
Well, Armin, you should take it up, but basically it's generating Chinese culture, Chinese language, introducing people to China. I mean, the problem of China's relationships with the outside world, as our friend Peter Frankopan points out, is that most of the business is handled by second generation Chinese who don't speak any other language, don't like other countries. They're very, very negative. Whereas the young people love the world, and there's 150,000 Chinese in this country. So I think the whole notion of opening up an attractive place where young, smart people can go and learn Chinese, can learn the Chinese culture, etc., etc. To me, I think it's an interesting idea.
Definitely, and it's very much, you're seeing it. It's very much a two-way exchange of ideas and cultures rather than a sort of one-way product in that sense.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll see how it grows up. But I mean, as I said, we have also this alliance with Oxford Royal, which has people from dozens of countries all the way around the world coming to Oxford to learn particularly about Oxford, about the university, but also about the country and its culture. So we do have taps into two ways of communication.
And I think I would absolutely agree that certainly those leading universities, Oxford, Cambridge, G5, as they're sometimes referred to, with the London universities, some of the UK's biggest exports, if you like, in terms of education. And I know that you've also, Sir Richard, talked about the opportunity that the UK has to use the entrepreneurial skills of a younger generation, I suppose, to kind of secure the UK's position in what is a very fast-moving and an emerging area of the world. And I believe in a sort of different role, you've been a UK judge for China with innovation and entrepreneurship in a more of an international context and competitions. Where do you see that those kind of projects going? What have you experienced from that perspective in terms of UK's entrepreneurial power or potential?
Well, I have been working with Shenzhen on behalf of an international competition which runs once a year, which I think is up and down depending on which country they're dealing with. I think that the ones in, for example, the UK are very good, very high quality. Is it making a mark? I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't been to China for a while. Armin would know more than I do. And still the same thing buzzing around about Taiwan, etc., etc., etc. Yeah. I spent 4 or 5 years working with the China Rail Group on the Belt Road program, which was to create, if you like, partnerships via building joint railways. And that was a bit of disaster because, building railways, unfortunately, is in the hands of a very corrupt bunch of people. It never makes any money. It's just not a way to build relationships, And I think it would be great somehow if the young could be brought in. I mean, some say, what was it that created the British Empire? The answer was the young. It was the young people going out to India and et cetera, et cetera. And do they come out now? No, they don't. I went to the inauguration of the president of Armenia, and there were exactly 2 English people there, myself and Lord Lindley.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of AEducate, the Avernus Education podcast. For those that don't know, Avernus Education provides inspiration and direction to students, helping them get ahead of the competition and maximise their chances of success. We work in collaboration with students, parents and schools to support young learners in their educational pathway, no matter what phase of the journey they are in. From university admission mentorship to subject knowledge enhancement, we provide clarity and guidance to students in order to help them discover their passion, support them in decision-making, and develop a personalised roadmap to further their ambitions and guide them to achieve their academic goals. On a different note, so Richard, I'm a historian myself, and it was one thing when I originally just did a bit of research before contacting you, and I know that one of the books you published was a book about English magic, and as an early modernist myself, that really caught my eye. And I just bit off topic perhaps, but wonder where your interest in that subject stemmed from, and whether you're continuing to write any history or other forms of books and novels.
Well, I came across an interest in the Celts, etc., and I met the head druid, and I discovered that magic, if you like, was still very hot in England. There were millions of young people who were joining it, so I decided I would meet them and write the book, which has been sold all over around the world. But I don't particularly want to write another one. I am involved in a very strange thing, which is a search for one of the largest treasures the world's ever seen, which the Goths stole out of Rome 1,500 years ago, so my efforts in terms of strange stuff and writing are concentrating on that really weird one. But we don't want to go down that route.
No, of course. No, but always interesting. We work with students of the, I think the age that we're referring to, really from 13 years to 18 years, and really try and get them to develop an interest in something and ignite a passion that they can then take through, whether that's through their school education or things that go on outside of the classroom, like residential courses that might then shape their pathway to university. And we're always working with students to get them interested in something, getting them to read something that is just different. So, I'm a big believer in students picking up a book that they would not have ordinarily encountered in their learning and just getting stuck into it. So witchcraft and magic and the search for various lost treasures, I think, definitely falls under that category. I mean,
the book, as your book sold 50,000 copies, wasn't bad. I mean, the treasure is potentially enormous. It's got Amazon and Netflix and people interested. And the problem about that is getting permission to search, because they all say it's all rubbish, and you say, but we believe there's something there. You say, well, prove it. So we can't prove it until we've actually done any investigation, and we can't do an investigation until you let us do it. But we have actually now got permission from both the Italian and the French government. So that is my big sort of exciting adventure at the moment.
Well, best of luck with that.
Yeah.
Sounds very exciting. And I suppose on sort of maybe continuing just briefly about different subjects and subject areas, I saw a potential course that I think Oriental Prime and yourselves will be offering in the future about philosophy, literature, modern history, something that I would absolutely sign up to. And we've spoken to a few heads and leaders in education recently and sort of asked them a similar question about how they feel in a world of AI and particularly this popularity with STEM subjects in some part of the world, particularly students from Asia looking to push that angle. What's your take on maybe the slightly diminishing popularity of humanities and those sorts of subjects? English and literature. How do you think that might impact education or this Silk Road exchange that we've been talking about?
Well, I think it's the fact, both my kids are in high tech, which I got them into, and that's where they all want to go. That's where I started my life, and I think that's what they do. And quite interestingly, there are some Armenian diaspora who've come back, and they've set up 2 or 3 incredibly advanced high-tech schools in the Yerevan. They're extraordinary what they do. There's a quite different approach to teaching. And I think one of the things about Armenia is it has some very entrepreneurial and very wealthy people. It's got 7 million Armenians who live outside the country, right? And what one needs to do is engage those people. I've just been, basically tossing at arm and all sorts of ideas. But the fact is, I think what Frankopan says is right. I think, it was the center of the world. At the moment, we have a weird situation where the East is definitely growing fast and could be the other center of the world, but no one understands it. There's no contact. They all talk about the Chinese as, bunch of bastards who all they want is Taiwan. You need to get some individuals from both sides together with specific projects. So, I had one of my oldest friends getting me the other day. He said he wanted to start up some high-tech finance, okay? And he wanted to do it in Armenian. I thought, well, immediately, there is a guy to do that, okay?
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need some individuals who see what you've written down on your paper saying the Silk Road is incredibly important. Armenia is open, essentially, because it's got these 7 million Armenians around the world. A lot of them speak English, and it's not nearly so closed in as the other countries. So if you want to learn about this place, just get a pilot project going in Armenia. That's where I think I am working with my two partners. I just would like some pilot projects where people could understand the basis of what was written in the book, that the new Silk Road is amazing, but it's about cultures actually getting together, and forget the older generation, do it with the young people. That very simple idea needs to be get across to some people and some English people who want to export and exporters. It's finding people where that idea, which is in Peter's book, they would want to have a go. Well, the answer is we can help them have a go at Armenia. That's what Armin and I can do. That's what we're looking. We don't really mind almost what it is. Let's people recognise that this is one of the most incredible opportunities in the world with some wonderful people, and the problem is they don't know any of them. Well, we do. We can introduce people into this new game.
That's very, very exciting prospect.
I think that's what we need. We need people who are better get off their asses, stop muttering about Mr. Trump and Ukraine, etc.
Yeah,
and recognise that what Peter Franklin has book is an incredible opportunity. And the hard thing is to actually get to meet people and understand it, and we can help. That's where we can help.
Yeah.
And I don't give a damn what the project is. I would say the latest one is quite different to education.
Yeah.
But it came through a guy I know who's been in the Middle East all his life. He's a heavy investor, and he's interested in investing in the new world. Why aren't more English people? So we're looking for UK people who are interested in investing in the new world, recognizing Armenia is a great place to kick it off and to pilot it. That's ultimately what we're looking for. And we don't give a damn about what the project is, really.
It's a very clear message, and I think very hard for someone to refuse in a way. I think there's a clear blank slate there, blank canvas, and a lot of opportunity. If we were just to take a few steps backwards and think those young people, someone that might be listening to that message who is just starting out, really, I suppose, on their secondary education or approaching university, and you've planted a seed in their mind there about, really, taking this opportunity forwards and realizing how the world is evolving. I know you've got such a rich, varied set of experiences and backgrounds from technology to business and startups, as you've been referring to. If you could, I guess, summarize 3 bits of advice for someone that might be hearing that message who is in their mid-teens, what would you be saying in terms of their 3 things that they should try and get out of their education?
It's like when the English Empire started. A lot of people who'd done nothing but play football became tea planters in Ceylon, or whatever it was, and some of them made themselves multi-millions. You have to find people who don't want to sit and talk about the old crap. They want to have some gut, what it means coming up with some money and some investment and getting their butts out to Armenia and understanding the country. That's ultimately what it means. Sitting around talking about it forever, that's what we've got with our other initiative already. Got people who want to come over Armenia. We're looking for projects. I want people who want to to come out to this country and realize what a wonderful country it is. They don't understand it. They don't know it was the first Christian country in the world, for example. And it's these extraordinarily beautiful, full of incredible guys, and their people actually started the Silk Road. They were the guys. They weren't the Jews. It was the Armenians who did it. So where are people? Where are the interesting entrepreneurs? Okay, that's my simple question. Okay, who got the bollocks off their butts and come out to Armenia and see what an opportunity it is. That's really what I'm after. We need more examples, but it is once you see it and you meet people like our men, you just when you read that book, there are some people who've got to say, come on, let's stop screwing around with the old world, worrying about bloody Americans and Germans, etc. Recognize there's a new opportunity. Let's put aside 2 weeks of our life and go out there, and look at a specific opportunity, and we'll help you find it.
I'll see what I can do for sure. Yeah, I'm very interested. So, so Richard and Armin, it's been great talking to you both today. Thanks a lot for your time. I know that sort of sprung upon you slightly out of the blue, but thanks for taking up the invite to connect. And I think there's very exciting potential avenues there with Armenia and Hainan. And we spoke a bit about the education in particular there, which is a personal expertise of mine, but there's lots of people that I think we can bring in from other areas as well.